morning, dear children. How are you all? Hope you all are doing great. As you all know, we are dealing with chapter 3 in your chemistry class, metals and non-metals. So let's start with our next topic, in which we shall discuss about how metals are reacting with salt solutions of other metals, as well as we'll be later on discussing about how metals react with non-metals. So let's start with the class, children. So first of all, we'll be discussing about how metals react with salt solutions of other metal. For example, if metal A has to react with the salt solution of metal B, then we will be getting salt solution of A plus metal B. See here, reactive metals can displace less reactive metals from their compounds in solution form. It means that whatever or whichever metal is more reactive, it is going to displace the less reactive metal from its salt solution. Children, here try to understand this example when we say that we have iron metal and the salt solution of copper sulfate. Here, when iron reacts with the salt solution of copper, that is copper sulfate, then we'll be getting that iron sulfate plus copper. This means in this reaction, we say that iron is more reactive than copper, and that is why this reaction is taking place. See children, this we are going to do in the lab also when you'll come to the school. What we do in this reaction is, when we take iron wire and we have to dip that iron wire in copper sulfate solution taken in a beaker, then the blue color of copper sulfate changes into green color and reddish brown particles of copper are deposited on the iron wire. So this is because of this reaction, that iron plus copper sulfate give rise to iron sulfate plus copper. Again I am telling you, because iron is more reactive than copper. This is going to be more clear to you children with the help of this reactivity series, by which we can understand or we can come to know that which metal is more reactive than which metal is more reactive or which metal is less reactive. We can compare the reactivities of the metals by this series, which is called as reactivity series. Reactivity series is the arrangement of metals in a vertical column in order of their decreasing reactivities downwards, which is called as the reactivity series, or we can call it as activity series of metals also. See children, it's very clearly written over here how you have to go about this reactivity series. See, few top metals in the reactivity series are most reactive, and then when we go down, then in this series the reactivity decreases of these metals. So if you want to learn it, you can learn it by making any kind of a sentence. Just see, I'm giving you one example how you can learn it in an easy manner. केदारनाथ का माली आलू जरा फीके पकाता है. Till hydrogen you can learn with this statement, and then copper, mercury, silver and gold. These are, you all know already, we have discussed in the chapter, these are very less reactive metals, or you may say the last ones are the least reactive. So this is how you can learn from the reactivity series that which metal is more reactive and which metal is less reactive. Then only you can see whether the reaction will take place or no. See, I'll give you the example over here. Just now we have discussed, then when iron reacts with copper sulfate, it give rise to iron sulfate plus copper. But suppose if we take copper wire which is to be dipped into the iron sulfate solution, then no reaction will take place. This is again, it is like seen by the reactivity series that copper is less reactive than iron. That is why this kind of a reaction will not take place. So now children, we'll be discussing about how metals are reacting with non-metals. To understand this is something very important and the very basic that you have to understand in the chapter acids, bases and salts also, if you remember, we have discussed a little about this, but I am giving you the details now. See, when we say metals have to react with the non-metals, then what happens actually? To understand this, first of all, see, reactivity of elements is the tendency to attain a completely filled valence shell. Valence shell filled means valence shell is the last shell, you all know. It has to be filled completely, means it has to have 8 electrons in its outermost shell. So atoms of the metals lose electrons from their valence shell to form cation. This also in the previous lecture I have already explained to you that all metals are electropositive in nature. Means metals are readily losing electrons to complete their octet, and therefore they are going to make positive ions, that is cations, and atoms of non-metals gain electrons in the valence shell to form negative ions, that is anion. See here in this example, it is very clear. If we talk about the formation of sodium chloride, in sodium chloride, you see children, sodium is having sodium atomic number is 11. So configuration of sodium will be 281, and just see, to complete its octet, that is the last shell, sodium wants to have 8 electrons. So it is going to lose the last 1 electron and it is going to form cation, that is sodium positive ion, by losing 1 electron. Similarly, if we talk about chlorine, which is a non-metal here, chlorine's configuration is 287, 8 plus 2, 10 plus 7, 17. So if it is going to gain 1 electron, this means 7 plus 1 in the last shell, it is also going to have the stable configuration. Octet will be complete. So chlorine is going to gain 1 electron that is lost by sodium, and this way anion formation will take place. So this is very clear from the this representation given down, that sodium is giving 1 electron and chlorine is taking that 1 electron. Children, see how you have to represent this. These are called as the Lewis structures, or you may call them as electron dot representations also. See, in case of sodium, we are showing the electrons with a dot, and to make it differentiate with the electrons of another element, that is chlorine, non-metal, for chlorine, we are going to show the electrons with another symbol, that is, you may write X symbol over here. So how to understand this? That sodium is giving 1 electron and chlorine is gaining that 1 electron. And you all know, when electron is lost, then the positive sign appears there on the cation, and chlorine has gained 1 electron. Therefore, on chlorine, 1 negative sign will be there. So this is how you are going to represent this structure. Now, to understand it more clearly, we'll talk about one more example. See children, in case of the formation of magnesium chloride, as you all know, the formula of magnesium chloride is MgCl2. Here, please try to understand, electronic configuration of magnesium will be, because magnesium is having 12 electrons, so configuration becomes 282. And for chlorine, 1 chlorine, there are 2 chlorines in this formula, you see children, MgCl2. This means 2 chlorine atoms. So 1 chlorine, 17 number, configuration would be 287. Now try to understand how this structure is going to be formed, how this chemical bonding is taking place. In this chemical bonding, you can see magnesium is having the configuration 282. This means in its last shell, if it loses 2 electrons, then only it can gain the the stable configuration with 2 and 8. So magnesium is going to lose these 2 electrons to 2 chlorine atoms. One to 1 chlorine, another to another chlorine. Because 1 chlorine's configuration is 287. If it gains 1 electron, then again the stable configuration will be formed. It's very clear from the diagram, see children, because magnesium has lost 2 electrons, therefore it is going to form Mg2 positive, that is 2 electrons are lost. And chlorine, one chlorine has gained 1 electron, therefore one negative charge you are going to show outside the brackets, and another chlorine the same, and this way the formation of magnesium chloride takes place. This is something very important, children, from the examination point of view. These are electron dot representations. This you have to understand. Now let's talk about another example of KCl, that is the formation of potassium chloride. In potassium chloride, see children, potassium's number is 19 and the electronic configuration would be 2881. This you all know. And the number of chlorine is 17. Just now also we have discussed. So electronic configuration will be 287. In this type of a chemical bonding, what is happening? This chlorine ion is going to be formed because it is going to gain 1 electron in its valence shell and acquire the nearest noble gas configuration. Hence, the transfer of electrons from potassium to chlorine can be represented by this following representation. This is shown here. Potassium is going to lose 1 electron and that 1 electron is to be gained by chlorine atom. Therefore, the formation of K positive, that is potassium cation, and the formation of chlorine negative will be there, and this way the formation of potassium chloride is going to be formed. To make you understand, one more example we can take here, that is of lithium fluoride. See children, the atomic number of lithium is 3, so electronic configuration will be 2, 1. Fluorine, the number is 9, so electronic configuration will be 2, 7. Similarly here, lithium is going to lose 1 electron and fluorine is going to take 1 electron. So lithium ion, that is positive cation, will be formed along with the fluoride ion, that is with 1 negative 1 because it has gained 1 electron. So this is how we talk about how metals are reacting with non-metals, and these kind of bonds are called as ionic bonds. This we are going to discuss in details in the next class. For today, children, I hope whatever was explained in today's class, you must have understood it nicely. If you have any doubts, you may ask any number of times. God bless you all.